everyone, my name's Lamar Francois. I'm a professional photographer. I've been invited to talk to you guys at the Real Creative Futures program run by the Nottingham Exchange about some of my work, what I do, my practice, and how that sort of developed and evolved, and also to sort of give you just a flavour of the sort of things that I love about photography, why it's so meaningful to me, and also show you a bit about some of my favourite moments behind the camera. How I sort of first got into it was that I was basically as an aside to the course that I was doing at the University of Nottingham. I studied maths and physics. Very interesting, very fun subjects. There's a lot of creativity in maths and physics and science generally, but I always felt that for me, I was always better sort of improvising and making my own creativity as opposed to perhaps working with maybe other people's ideas. And I was and part of studying maths and physics to undergraduate level, I had been exposed to a lot of very interesting and very fun ideas, and ideas which also are central to photography, because photography is just a capture of light, and how does light behave? That's all stuff that physicists study and understand. People like James Maxwell, people like Albert Einstein, all those very fun, creative people. But for me, I was more interested in sort of creating my own sort of world, my own theories, my own ideas. Another reason why, when I was younger, I found photography really, really meaningful to me was that it was a vital sort of platform to help me sort of learn to express myself a bit more and to gain confidence. Being on the autism spectrum sort of meant that I had to work a lot harder to sort of understand how people worked. Grateful that photography gave me an opportunity to sort of have a form of expression just through putting things in a box and just through putting a box around the world as such. That's something that's really proved very useful to me as a person, and also something I want to highlight throughout the course of my work as a professional. And I spent a lot of time during my time studying at the uni. I helped out with the photography society there. I was their sort of kit guy, so students would come to me. We had a nice little system where you could hire equipment and cameras for very far less than they're worth. So I was as part of the deal as me being kit manager, I was able to spend a lot of time with them. They had a Nikon D200 and they had a 18 to 55mm lens, which was pretty basic, but it sort of was enough to sort of get me started, get me going in terms of figuring out what sort of things I liked, what sort of things I didn't, what my sort of preferences were as such. And I think for me, I've always tended to go towards the wider field of view and very sort of extremes of perspective. Like, I've always liked to photograph. We're talking about 90 degrees, seeing around corners, perhaps, or perhaps at the other end, focusing on a very, very narrow sort of slice off a piece to sort of pull that in and draw people towards it. First step along that process was back in 2012 when I was recognised for the work I did through the Nottingham City Young Creative Awards, which has really helped sort of give me the confidence that I needed to realise that I could make something out of this, that it wasn't just something I could do for myself. I graduated back in that summer of 2012. I've been working part-time since then until very recently. Building up my portfolio, building up my practice, and I will say it's not It has taken a long time. It's not an easy thing to do, not because I know how to create, I know how to be creative. I'm very sort of free flowing in creativity, but in order to get paid, that creativity has to have a point to it. It has to add value. Generally, a lot of fields of creativity are very, very competitive places, and you have to be able to sell yourself, probably even more so than your photographs, and get people to know, like, and trust you as a person, as a brand. And it's taken me a while to sort of learn and build those skills up. I've had a lot of help through the who the Prince's Trust is Explore Enterprise program, as well as the New Arts Exchange's Real Creative Futures, who've given sort of coaching and mentoring on talking about learning to develop marketing and sales skills, understanding, say, how what I have to offer as a creative can merge in with what other people need. So within my professional practice, I have two main areas of interest. First is telling stories about people and the events and the things that they do and like, which has obviously with the current pandemic has been at least temporarily shut down. So that would involve me candidly going to events and telling stories of and sort of documenting the people at the events, the things they did, their attractions, and the things that they did at the events, what happened. So sharing documentation of the event that the organisers and the fundings could then use to be able to use in their further marketing materials to sort of attract people. So I was involved last September in the Full Shebang Festival over in Mansfield, and I was doing some work for the guys at Fresh Start. The Fresh Start Group, Arts Council funded Create People and Places programme, and they're very much about bringing art to people who badly need it, and to show people in another way, in with the amount of deprivation with the ex-mining communities in North Nottinghamshire, being an event and telling the story of an event to inspire young people in that area to see themselves as creators was something that was very, very rewarding on a sort of personal level. Within my work, I've been fortunate to sort of tell the story also of people in the hospitality industry, restaurant launches. I've photographed a lot of things for other arts organisations. I've also done work with large-scale events organisers, like one of the business improvement districts, that sort of people. So that's where the sort of creative storytelling aspect has sort of led me. But the second aspect is probably one that's I'm sort of developing, but it's almost sort of close to my heart, and that is photographing the built environment and being able to use like the techniques of photography to storytelling, to be an interface to help sort of help architects and designers of very, very technical buildings and structures communicate their design skills to the wider audiences through making sort of realistic and accurate depictions of their buildings and structures. So it goes back, appeals to me from the mathematical point of view as well. So I've always been interested in, as I say, I've been interested in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and trying to sort of trying to sort of express the creativity within those fields more. It's been one of the things I've been very sort of keen on, and like also as well, I love the cityscapes. I love the varied sort of urban landscapes that you get, and a lot of my work has been spent photographing street scenes, city scenes, and so it's a natural sort of extension to move from that into and depicting, say, architecture and structures and buildings. And that is something that I'm just sort of getting my foot in the door with at the minute, and I hope to be able to expand on further on as we go down the line. Well, on a professional level, um, with me, the main sort of thing I do is telling the story of mass large events and gatherings. Of course, with that no longer being tenable from a, at least in the short term, possibly medium term, from a public health point of view, I have sort of been affected quite a bit with that, um, in terms of work. But it's also been an opportunity for me to be able to slow down and sort of recharge, because in the past couple of years leading up, I've been sort of going really at a really high pace, creating a lot of photographs, a lot of work, getting stuck into a cycle of shoot and edit and share, and it's good to be able to sort of step back from that. So in the 2 or 3 months, I've been only just started now taking photographs of places outside of my outside of the home I live in, but I've just been using the opportunity to sort of share and just to sort of see a bit more about, see a bit more into the world that I live in, my home, and to find the sort of beauty within. And that has just been like, just sort of, I've sort of just sort of approached it on a bit of an ad hoc basis, really, without much of a sort of intention. Just if I saw something interesting in the garden, or saw a bit of interest into the way that, say, into the way that light was hitting, say, the part of the garden at particular time of day, I'd sort of use that as an opportunity and a cue to sort of dig further and to sort of dig deeper. So I've just been doing lots of little tabletop things, just to sort of keep my eye in as such. I've also sort of just generally sort of been able to reflect on my practice. Where do I want to go next? Why do I do what I do? Why do I enjoy sort of making discoveries for people and helping them see a new side of the world that they haven't been doing before?